So I've been away for a few days, kind of at Plasma Blast pre-releases. I'll probably explain a bit of stuff about that later, but I think it's about time that I recorded the next part of the No Experience run, were it not for a certain something happening. Now, I thought I wouldn't have to make a new reactions video to something about X and Y. The thing is that if I had put all my opinions about the recent announcement at the start of the next video, it would have been way too long. So, I'm just gonna have to actually make this a separate video, pretty much. So, yeah, I was just browsing around Cerebi.net, and this happened. Yeah, that. Mega Evolutions. Yep, this video is going to be talking about this new thing. We've finally got a really, really big new addition to the franchise. Kind of funny, because Gen 5 didn't really have anything spectacular like that. I always maintain that every generation introduced something really, really big and new to the table. Gen 2 introduced breeding. Gen 3 introduced double battles. Gen 4 introduced the physical special splits, and Gen 5, well, I guess there was hidden abilities, but really, there wasn't that much spectacularly new gameplay mechanic-wise in Gen 5, other than triple and rotation battles, but by that point, you know, extra battling modes were pretty much expected. Now we have this, a fundamental massive change to core game mechanics that proceeded to cause the fandom to die in an unholy hellfire. Yeah. I'm gonna get this out of the way first. Just getting the negative stuff out of the way first. This is why I don't get involved in fandoms. I have a very, very, very major love-hate relationship with the Pokemon fandom, and yeah, this is a major situation as to why. I apologize to you, the beginning of this video is mostly just gonna be me ranting. Because seriously, this fandom pisses me off to no end sometimes. Why is it that whenever the series, you know, sticks to its roots and keeps doing more of the same stuff, the fans are willing to go, oh, it's so boring, they're not changing anything. Then, when they actually do try to do something new and original, bang! Everyone's crying, they changed it, now it sucks. There's actually an NPC in Black and White 2 who explicitly mocks this, which I actually think is definitely Game Freak acknowledging this problem with the fandom and calling them out on it. Seriously, they do need to be called out on this, because this is just... just makes me so angry. Now, I admit there are legitimate reasons to disliking some of these, and I'll get to that later. My anger isn't directed at those fans who actually have legitimate reasons for not liking some of these. The ones I am angry at are the fans who say, oh no, Pokemon's changed, it's ruined forever! I just cannot stand that. There is, however, one bit of reason why these things are getting so much hate that I will address right now, because this seriously does piss me off to no end. The fact that some people seem to think that this means that Pokemon is ripping off Digimon. No, 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 and no! People who claim that clearly have not done their research at all. For one, Digimon did not invent the term Mega. 2, the Mega stage in Digimon is actually far from the strongest things get. That's the exact opposite of what this Pokemon thing is. And thirdly, and this is the crucial point here, comparing Digimon to Pokemon is almost a flat-out logical fallacy in my book. They are two totally separate franchises, completely independent of one another. Anyone who knows even the slightest bit about Digimon, or even looks up a plot summary on Wikipedia, will know just how different it is from Pokemon. Seriously, comparing the two is like trying to compare an RPG to a first-person shooter and arguing which is the better game. It just doesn't work. They're both completely separate, and have pretty much nothing to do with each other aside from the mon suffix, which, may I remind you, is not in the original Japanese name of the Pokemon series. No, in Japan, Pokemon is known as Pocket Monsters, which actually does not really vaguely resemble the title of Digimon at all. So yeah, let me just get this straight. Digimon started as a virtual pet simulator as a counterpart to Tamagotchi to try and get more boys into virtual pets. Pokemon started as a video game on the Game Boy. The two are completely different. Not only that, but the style and the actual storylines, the way they do the animes, if you even look up any plot summaries of the Digimon anime, you'll be surprised just how different it is. Seriously, comparing the two, in my book, is pretty much a flat-out logical fallacy. These two franchises are totally separate and have no relation to each other whatsoever. So please, for the love of Arceus, stop doing it! Sorry, I think I need to calm down a bit. I don't think I've ever got this angry over a Pokemon issue. Yeah, I'm sorry, the fandom has just pushed me way too far on this instance. I think personally this is an interesting change. This is going to be quite interesting from a strategic standpoint. So let me talk about this objectively from a gameplay point of view, based on what we know. Now, according to the information revealed in Korokoro, and in the video trailers we've seen, Mega Evolutions require an item. Now, we don't know whether that's a Hell's item or not yet. If it is, it'll probably work like Giratina with the Grisius Orb. And basically, these Mega Evolutions are a one-time power-up that occurs during battle. So basically, they're not so much an evolution as they are a temporary super mode, basically. So, yeah, it's like a temporary power-up, basically. It only lasts for one battle, but it has been confirmed to last for the remainder of the battle. But it will wear off once the battle is finished. We still don't have any word over whether that consumes the item or not. But given that the state wears off at the end of battle and competitive battles don't consume items anyway, it's probably a moot point. Now, we have heard some things saying that there'll be restrictions on the number of Mega Pokemon who will be allowed in one team. Apparently, you're only allowed one of these power-ups per battle, which does kind of make sense. Otherwise, things would be horribly... That's the thing, though. We don't know if this is going to horribly unbalance things anyway, because, as you'll see with the Pokemon that are receiving these evolutions, not all Mega Pokemon were created equal. That's something else I'm going to talk about. So, for now, I thought I'd give a rundown of the different Mega Pokemon we know so far, and just give my general opinions on them and how they'll affect that Pokemon status in the metagame. So, let's begin. First up, we have the already fan-favourite Mega Ampharos, or otherwise known as Amphibulous by the fandom due to its hair. Yeah, basically all this transformation does is give it a big, boost to its hair power or some weird thing like that. Anyway, design-wise I guess it's still pretty cool, though it's not that big of a change to the original. But the main change here is Mega Ampharos' typing. Upon transforming, it becomes Electric and Dragon type. Previously, this type combination was unique to Zekrom, so it's going to be nice to see this done. Smogon in their Create a Pokemon project did end up making an Electric Dragon known as Cyclone, and it would be interesting to see whether or not Mega Ampharos is pretty much a canon case of that Create a Pokemon project, because it's actually not a bad typing. Now, of course, Electric does add a ground weakness, and Dragon does nothing to cover that, but still, you got some nice stab options with that. Plus, I don't know why, just the very idea of Electric Dragon as a type combination is pretty cool. Though I will say one thing, becoming Dragon when the new Fairy type has been introduced to counter it, yeah, maybe this generation was not the best time to think about changing type to Dragon. So that could be a problem for Mega Ampharos here. It'll gain a weakness to the new and probably quite common Fairy type that it wouldn't have had before. So that's a thing you got to worry about while using this transformation. Now, the other interesting thing about this is, I'm not entirely sure if Ampharos actually gets any stab dragon moves it can really use with this. Okay, so a quick Bulbapedia check later, and it turns out the one dragon move Ampharos learns at all is Outrage, which is physical, which doesn't use Ampharos's better attacking stat. So yeah, stab-wise, this might not be so good. Now, the official Pokemon site, however, does mention powering up Dragon-type moves, quote, such as Dragon Pulse, unquote. Yes, it mentioned Dragon Pulse specifically. Now, I don't think Ampharos could learn that move before, so this implies that either Ampharos will have Dragon Pulse added to its move pool in Generation 6, or the new Mega Transformation is going to alter its move pool somewhat. Now, given that Mega Evolution is a process that occurs mid-battle, it's unlikely that it will actually change the Pokemon's moveset, unless they pull a Rotom and have one of its moves suddenly change into a new one. That's the thing, so I really am not sure whether or not this is going to have any effect on the Pokemon's actual move pool. So, in that vein, this means that if for some reason Flareon were to gain a Mega Evolution, it wouldn't really matter all that much. But anyway, like I was saying, so my bet is they're going to give Ampharos Dragon Pulse just as a regular move in Generation 6, either by TM, level up, or move tutor somehow. It's probably going to get Dragon Pulse. Either that or the site just messed up royally. Because Outrage, unless this transformation gives a massive boost to attack, not so good on Ampharos. So, yeah, we'll just have to wait and see for that one. Now, one more thing about this transformation. Like I've shown here, Mega Evolutions have been confirmed to be able to change a Pokemon's typing. This sounds like a pretty cool thing, and it's a way to give an old Pokemon a new type combination without having to either retcon it, or, like with the Fairy type, or give it a new evolution. Now, it also seems to be able to change the Pokemon's ability. Normally, Ampharos' ability is Static or Lightning Rod. Now, Mega Ampharos is listed as having the ability Mold Breaker, but apparently only Mold Breaker. This means that regardless of what ability regular Ampharos has, it's going to get changed to Mold Breaker when it transforms. Now, we haven't had any confirmation as to how this is going to work with hidden abilities, so we might actually not get a chance to have this thing with plus or minus. Oh wait, I think it's just plus. Anyway, that would be pretty obscenely powerful, in my mind. But anyway, Mold Breaker. Mold Breaker's a decent ability normally, but for an electric and dragon type, really the only thing this does is let Ampharos hit Lightning Rod and Motor Drive Pokemon with electric moves. Given that the vast majority of Pokemon with Lightning Rod or Motor Drive are either resistant or immune to electric already, the only thing this will really help against is Seaking. Yeah, Seaking. Congratulations, you've powered up and gained an ability that makes you better against Seaking. Yeah, that doesn't sound too good. Unless there's a new ability that blocks dragon moves, and considering all the efforts they've gone to nerf the type, I wouldn't be surprised if there was. Unless there was something like that, I really don't see Mold Breaker being too useful for Ampharos. Yeah. Again, hitting Lightning Rod or Motor Drive Pokemon with electric moves sounds nice in theory, but in practice, most of them are already resistant or immune to it anyway. So anyway, on to the next Mega Evolution. Meet Mega Absol, who gains a cool new wing and a pretty nice, kind of, sort of, half angelic, half demonic design. I really like this thing, it looks pretty cool. Now, Mega Absol apparently gains a considerable boost to its attack and speed stats. Yep, speed. Given that Absol is currently sitting at a base 70 speed stats, that extra speed boost is really going to help it, and I do see Absol gaining a whole lot more use. It's still pure Dark type, so the Mega Form doesn't really change much with regards to that. It does change its ability quite considerably. Absol's Mega Form gains the ability Magic Bounce. Now, those of you who know anything about competitive will know that this ability instantly launched Espeon from kind of mediocrity to OU. Yeah, that's a great ability, and certainly no problem with Absol suddenly getting that. There are a few problems here, however. This does mean that Absol loses Super Luck, and Absol really did love to abuse Super Luck before. The site does go on to mention that the extra speed will really help with Night Slash's high critical hit ratio. Yeah, that would have been helpful if Absol still had Super Luck. As of now, yeah, losing that extra critical hit ratio on Night Slash kind of robs Absol of one of its more unique qualities. It used Psycho Cut, Absol was one of the best Super Luck abusers in the game before, and losing that bit of uniqueness, yeah. Not to mention that, remember that Mega Evolutions are something that happens mid-battle. Now, I'm not sure suddenly gaining Magic Bounce midway through a battle is going to be that useful. Magic Bounce's main benefit is to use it on a lead to prevent them from using Stealth Rock on you. By the time Absol transforms and gains Magic Bounce, chances are that Stealth Rock is already going to be laid down, so really the only use of it will be bouncing back a few status moves. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still a great ability, it just may have lost some of its usefulness if you can't lead with it. Of course, if you have the ability to lead with Absol and use the Mega Transformation on your first turn, that would be kind of useful. We'll need to know more information about this, but still, Mega Absol sounds like a considerable improvement. But, not as much of a considerable improvement as... meet the twin-moored Mega Mawile. Yep, people were speculating that Mawile will get an evolution or at least some kind of buff in this generation, considering that we'd heard that it was going to get retyped to Steel/Fairy. Well, we were kinda right, except not really an evolution. Mawile's now gained a new Mega Form, which is both good and bad. The good? Its new Mega Form sounds like a considerable improvement. The bad? Well, unlike most of the other Pokemon here, Mawile isn't too great in its base form, and it's going to have to spend at least some of the battle in that form before it goes Mega. Unlike a lot of the other Pokemon here, who can actually function pretty well before the transformation kicks in, Mawile's going to be pretty much dead weight until that happens, so that could be a problem for this thing's usability. On the other hand though, Mega Mawile certainly is a huge improvement. According to Pokemon.com, it gains a boost to defense and special defense, but it also gains the huge power ability. Yeah, double attack stat with no drawbacks, that is painful. Not only that, but its typing is Steel/Fairy. Yeah, if Fairy really is resistant to Dragon like rumors have said it will be, that means that Mega Mawile is going to be the ultimate Dragon Slayer with that typing, and that's going to be pretty useful. There's not really much else we know about Mega Mawile, but with that little information it does sound pretty awesome. Though like I was saying, it's a bit of a shame that Mawile is actually not that great without the transformation, so yeah, this could be a problem. On the one hand, it's really good if you do manage to get the transformation off. On the other hand, until then, Mawile's basically a sitting duck, so that could really hurt this thing's usefulness. Right, next we have one you already saw in the video I showed earlier, Mega Lucario. I've always loved Lucario, so I couldn't be happy to see this, though I like Lucario for reasons other than a lot of other fans do. Me, I couldn't care less about how it looks, or that it's kind of acts cool in the movies and in Brawl. No, the reason why I love Lucario so much is that it's just so damn versatile. It's one of the few Pokemon that actually has the stats to make use of its massive move pool. It's got one of the biggest move pools of all time. Seriously, just look through that thing. Absolutely enormous. It can do physical sweeping, special sweeping, even a few random, like lead sets, counter sash. Seriously, I've always joked to people that I could make a team of 6 Lucarios, and all of them could have a totally different role. That's one of the things I like about Lucario, and one of the reasons why I get so pissed off that sites like Smogon seem to think it's only good for Swords Dance physical sweeping, when I think the main advantage of Lucario is its unpredictability. The fact that it can do pretty much anything, and just sending one out will cause your opponent to massively freak out, thinking, what the hell is this thing going to use against me? That's the thing I like about Lucario, but unfortunately Smogon doesn't seem to think so, and seems to just distill it to one thing and think that, okay, yeah, this one's marginally better than all the others, so let's only use this variety, despite that taking away Lucario's main quirk. But enough about that. This is about Lucario's new form. Now, here's the thing. Here's where we start getting into a bit of territory when it comes to these transformations. You see, Lucario was already pretty strong as it is. It was already OU for 2 generations. Now it's getting an even stronger form that apparently has even higher attack. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about that. This could be a little problematic, especially seeing as unlike Mawile or even Ampharos, Lucario is completely capable of holding its own without the transformation. So, yeah, me personally, despite this thing looking cool, I might be a little iffy about this one. Still, it's always good to see that Lucario gets another option. Now when it's sent out, your opponent's going to be wondering, oh, not only what the hell moveset is this thing going to use, but is this thing going to go Mega or not? So again, unpredictability, I love that about this thing. And now we come to the next Mega Evolution, and the one that's caused the most controversy, hands down, and I can really see why. Mega Blaziken. Yeah, that's right, the one starter that got deemed Uber now has an even stronger form. This is one of the few cases where I think the mixed reception to one of these is entirely justified. Yeah, there are quite a few negative points about this thing. Basically, Blaziken itself with the speed boost ability, which by the way it retains in Mega form. Yeah, and the distribution that gives you the item that lets you go into this form, yeah, already gives you a speed boost Blaziken right off the bat. Yeah, now, speed boost Blaziken should be pretty infamous if you follow the competitive battling scene. It was one of the first new additions in Black and White to be deemed so powerful it was outright banned from standard play. Previously, Blaziken was seen as one of the weaker starters. Then that ability happened, and now it was considered too broken to even be allowed. And that was just base form Blaziken. If that thing alone in its base form is enough to be considered Uber, I shudder to think just what kind of horror this thing could unleash. Yeah, in this case, I think this is a bit of an iffy choice. Why you would give one of the most powerful starters in the history of Pokemon an even stronger form is beyond me. The thought of this is just scary, and no doubt it's probably going to be banned the instant it gets released, unless this generation sees an enormous power creep. So, I'm really not sure how I feel about Mega Blaziken. Just sounds a little on the broken side. Speaking of broken though, there's another Mega Pokemon that we should show. Mega Mewtwo. Yep, you probably already know this form, since this was the form that was previously known as Awakened Mewtwo that debuted in the new Genesect movie. Now, this is kind of interesting. Previously, we thought this was just an alternate form of Mewtwo in the same vein as a Deoxys form. We probably should have taken the hint that Mewtwo did willingly transform into this form during the film. Then again, the anime has had Kyurem go through its different forms willingly, and Deoxys could do the same, so I guess we couldn't really. Still, this one's had a bit of a mixed reception because unlike all the other designs, it's not really evident that this is supposed to be a stronger version of the original. Most people thought this would just be a new form that focuses on increased speed, and that's what one of the leaks revealed, and that leak has probably since been revealed as complete and total lies, basically, because this is definitely not a new Mewtwo form, this is a Mega Evolution. Which leads to a few interesting questions. This shows that Mega Evolutions are not just restricted to regular Pokemon, legendaries can get them. This has interesting applications, and it will help, maybe it might help the Uber environment be a little bit more diverse. I don't know, I've never really played Ubers much, so I don't know if it's that diverse now, but anyway. Now, apparently this thing increases Mewtwo's special attack. Yeah, as if Mewtwo needs to boost a special attack. But I guess it was a bit weird that Mewtwo, one of the kings of special attacking early on, suddenly got its crown stolen by things like Chandelure, so I guess it's reclaimed its spot. Still, from the trailers, this thing looks like it has a really big move pool, just like the original Mewtwo. There's not really much to say about this, given that since Mewtwo is Uber already, this thing's probably going to be totally broken anyway, so I'm not really going to be using it. But still, it's interesting to know. Now, this would normally be it, until at Worlds a few days ago, a new Mega Evolution was revealed worldwide, and one that was kind of unexpected, but something that fans have been wanting for a long, long time. Mega Kangaskhan. And yes, the baby finally gets out of the pouch and fights on its own, along with its mother. Yeah, any reservations that the fandom would have had about Mega Evolutions seem to have gone away with the reveal of this one. This is just sheer awesomeness. And it sounds like pretty awesome too. I mean, people have been waiting ages for Kangaskhan's baby to actually become a real Pokemon. Now we've kind of got something similar. By the way, the baby is actually slightly bigger and more developed than it is normally, so it is a change, just not to the parent. Now, apparently, this Pokemon has a new ability called Parental Bond that basically sounds like the equivalent of Fire Emblem Awakening's dual attacks except for Pokemon. It actually allows it to occasionally use the same move twice in one turn. People are wondering about Double Bite, the possibility for flinches, and a few other combos like that. I wonder if this could work with Swords Dance, that'd be insane. Still, Mega Kangaskhan does sound really interesting, and it's an awesome concept that I'm surprised the Pokemon series hasn't used before. So, yeah. Now that these have been revealed, time for some speculation. Which other Pokemon do I think could possibly receive Mega Evolutions? Okay, I'm just going to go through a few points. 1. So far, we haven't seen a single Generation 6 Mega Evolution, and that sounds ridiculous. If they're introducing a whole new game mechanic, it'd be ridiculous not to have them use it for one of the new Pokemon for this generation. So I think we can rest assured that at least one of these new Generation 6 Pokemon is going to get a Mega form. Now, the other issue here is starting Pokemon. Since Blaziken has a Mega Evolution, people are worried that a lot of the other starters are going to miss out. So I think that I have a feeling at least one other starter is going to get a Mega Evolution. I'm not sure which though, but I really would like all of them to get those, but seriously, that is a lot of Mega Evolutions, so yeah. I would love all starters to get those. Now, my idea was that at the very least, all 3 of the new starters would get them. That would make quite a bit of sense. But personally, and this should come as no surprise, the starting Pokemon that I think deserves a Mega Evolution above all is Charizard. The reason being, it could have a typing change from Fire Flying, which is horrible, to Dragon Fire, which would be awesome. Just look at Reshiram, seriously. Fire Dragon. Charizard has always been begging for that type combination. Probably the only reason it didn't have it back in Gen 1 was because they wanted the Dratini line to be unique. But seriously, it really needs a retyping to Fire Dragon. Because of that damn Stealth Rock. Seriously. Other than that, Pokemon that I'd like to see get Mega Evolutions? I had this weird idea in my head and I thought maybe Farfetch'd. Now, I actually think Farfetch'd probably isn't ever going to get a real proper evolution. But a Mega form for a temporary took a level in Badass could work. I kind of imagine a considerably more awesome looking Farfetch'd, maybe almost samurai style, dual-wielding Lynx. I can really see that happening, and that'd be pretty awesome. As for others, well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Apparently, next month's Koro Koro is going to feature new Mega Evolutions, which I presume will include at least one Generation 6 Pokemon. Of course, I probably couldn't reveal a Mega Form of one of the starters without revealing the starter's final form, which they probably don't want to do yet, but still. I'm predicting at least one Generation 6 Pokemon will get one. You know what would be weird though? If one of the Generation 6 Pokemon itself turns out to be a Mega Form. It could happen. But anyway, the thing I'm really looking forward to though next month is that next Korokoro promises a Fairy type chart. Freaking finally! Yes! Now we can finally tell if that speculation is going to be right. Most people predict that Fairy is going to be weak to Steel and possibly Poison. But, yeah, only time will tell if it's actually resistant or even immune to Dragon. But, yeah, it's probably going to be at least resistant, that's my bet. I won't speculate any more on that issue though, we'll find out in a month's time. So anyway, this has been another Pokemon update. This video's gone on for a while, but I really had a lot to talk about here. So yeah, I think this will be pretty awesome. Actually, one more thing I need to talk about. Yeah, there's one thing about these Mega Evolutions that I'm a little concerned about. If you watch the trailer, you'll see that it says that the Blazikenite that's required to go into Mega Blaziken is only going to be given out via events. Now, here's something that's a little bit of a problem. I've always been a bit angry about the Pokemon series giving competitive advantage to players who've been able to attend events. Mostly because I live in Australia, and we literally did not get any events, period, until Generation 4. That was incredibly frustrating, and part of the reason why I despised events until then. Because it was basically a way of Nintendo saying, if you're not American, screw you! Yeah, I always hated that. But, anyway, the problem is, this could be worse. This whole thing of Mega Evolutions just screams DLC. Now, I'm not one who's against DLC, and I hate the fact that a whole bunch of people jump on things and complain about games just because, oh look, it has DLC, it must be evil incarnate. No, I'm not against DLC, or unless it's purely cosmetic, that's just horrible. But, I'm not really against DLC, but what I am against is DLC that gives competitive advantage to players who pay money. That I draw the line against. And if Mega Evolutions end up being paid DLC, I really don't think I'm going to like that. Because again, that's going to give competitive advantage to people based on money, and that's just bribing your way to victory, and that's not good game design in anything really. Despite the fact that I have actually, in my game design course, have had guest developers come to us and say that's good game design because it helps you get money. Yeah. Nowadays it seems to be a trend that people think that that's good, but they don't realise that if you do that, you are horribly pissing off your fanbase. Yeah, most people really don't like it when a multiplayer game says, oh, if this person pays an extra $5, they can win more easily. That's just not fair. Just downright not fair, and I would really hate to see Pokemon get into that territory. I sincerely hope it doesn't, but if it does, I reckon that they'll eventually implement like a separate Mega tier where only the Mega Pokemon are allowed only within that tier, because that's the only way to be fair on people who can't afford DLC. Anyway, I've rambled on long enough, I think it's time to stop, so yeah, that's been my 2 cents on this issue, see you next time.